Hello and welcome to day 3 of the afternoon sessions of Schoolscape Premier event. It has been an absolute pleasure, I want to say festival, to be coming live to you in the last 3 days. I must say I feel like I've joined a club of old friends that we get together with once a day. So this has been fantastic from us at the Schoolscape team. Thank you for joining us today. We are super excited about our presenters today, some of the companies, and just the topic we're tackling. It is quite futuristic, except that we know that so many of you are using VR and AR in your schools already, which super encouraging for us as small kids. I hope one day my kids end up in your class.
So we've got 2 incredible teacher speakers lined up. We've got Jessica Ricco coming in from Italy, but she is a South African. And then after that, we've got Jason Cook coming in from, I think it's Benoni, Law School Krachron, so he's a little bit more local. And then after that, coming in from the States, we have Merge Edu, which is literally the most incredible tech I've seen. After that, we then have from the UK, Immersive Experiences. And then,
they work in South Africa, however, so they're very much attainable to our South African market.
And then after that, we've got the head of Kenridge, who's going to end us with 10 minutes of inspiration with Untitled. So we're really excited for that. So thank you. Please, in the chat bar, if you're on web, it's on the right. Say hello, where you're from. We love hearing where everyone's from. If any questions for the speakers, please pop it in the Q&A tab. If you're on your phone, you can just scroll down and jump onto that. But before we hand over for our first speaker, we just want to mention a couple of a resource that we have available for schools.
Awesome. So I think I want to present this in a way that we're giving you the sneaky insight, sneak peek, quite exclusive little scenario going on here of what we've been busy with in the last little while. So from Schoolscape, our team, I want to tell you the heart behind this is that we had this great plan for physical events this year, for all kinds of great things, and we had planned our year out, and we came back and we realized that society wasn't going to go back to normal yet. We were very disappointed, gravely, and then we started our discussions with schools saying, how do we help you this year? What does procurement look like in your school this year? What do the schools need? What do teachers need? And we then decided that we needed to help focus procurement. So everyone was saying, we need this, but we need the best supplier at the best price. We don't have time to go find 3. So we decided we would put together something called our Schoolscape Top 21 for 21. I'm not promising we're ever going to do this again. So there may not be a 22 for 22, okay? But we're starting in 21 for 21. And this is really something we've put together to help schools move forward in terms of like their most important procurements for the year. And so we've put together companies we know, we trust, we love, we've worked for the last 5-6 years, Peter for the last 15 in education. And we know these schools are going to give you the best service and the best products and solutions. So we put together 21 companies. We're doing a little, you get to see them there. We've, for your convenience, put it into an interactive PDF. You can print it out. You can also going to be able to find this on our Schoolscape website. So it's a profile on 21 companies that we know are going to help you this year. So if you wonder and you need something, this is the place to come and check if there is a company there. If there's not something, you just pop us an email, as you always do, and ask us anything and we will help. So this is our top 21. You're going to get the PDF version of it, of the first 10 companies we're launching tomorrow morning in your mailbox. And then after that, we're going to do a slow launch of the rest of the companies in that in the weeks to come. But we're super excited about this because we know this is us putting our best foot forward. So we hope it helps, and give that a look. See you when you get it tomorrow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So while I invite Jessica on stage, today is Bad Joke Thursday. So Ashley has a terrible joke.
Are we telling it?
And then
you have to excuse us after this, but I'm not going to roll with it. It's going to be great. Afterwards, you're going to have to top me, though. You're going to have to top me. So in that chat panel, after I embarrass myself now. You're going to have to put out your worst jokes, or the worst jokes you've ever heard anyone tell. One-liners, and maybe we'll give you a 1,000 Rand take life voucher for the best one. So, Piglet staring into the toilet. And someone asks, Piglet, what are you doing? Piglet looks deeply and says, I'm looking for poo. Really? On, yeah. What do you call something long, brown, and sticky?
I'm not saying.
A stick. So there's my, I know what you were thinking. I know what you were thinking.
Jessica, please come on stage in a hurry. I'm really excited for this first session. If you have a bad one-liner, please drop it into the chat bar. We'd love to hear your one-liner. You could win a 1,000 Rand voucher. Jessica is our speaker, our first incredible speaker who's lined up. She's going to be presenting on introducing AR into your classroom. So Jessica, it's such a privilege to have you on stage with us. We look forward to hearing your real teacher experience. Over to you.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to very quickly share my screen and play. There we go.
Cool.
All right.
Just so you know, you're coming through a little bit softly. I don't know if that's just our audio, just so you're aware.
Okay, I'll try to speak a bit louder. Thank you. Okay, so first of all, a huge thank you to Schoolscape. I'm really happy to be here. I hope that you can all leave this presentation with some ideas to implement into your classroom. So a little bit about me. I am originally from South Africa, from Hermanus to be exact. Currently, I live in Lago di Como in Italy, and I've got 7 years of teaching experience behind me, and right now I teach robotics and design at the International School of Como. I love technologies, I love learning new technologies, and I love finding ways to enhance teaching and learning with technology. So today I would like to cover 3 topics. The first one is why you should use virtual reality in the classroom. The second is how I implement virtual reality into my classroom. And last, how you can use virtual reality to enhance teaching and learning, especially now during the pandemic in our virtual classrooms. So let's start with why you should use virtual reality within your classroom. There are 2 umbrella reasons as to why you should use virtual reality within the classroom. The first reason is to develop our learners' 21st century skills in their approach to their learning. The second reason is to enhance learner engagement. So let's unpack these 2 reasons in more detail. Skills development. A skill learners develop is creative thinking. This is a skill that is developed throughout the whole process, not only in their prototyping, but throughout their entire virtual reality creation. Learners have to think creatively to create their environment based on assets that they have available to them. For example, in CoSpaces, there are no roads. However, learners can create their own roads by using panels and changing the color and texture of the panel. The second is problem solving. Learners are actually solving a real-world problem provided to them. Furthermore, they are expected to problem solve when coding their design. Learners come to understand the importance of logical and critical thinking when creating their environment. They realize a set of instructions take place one after another through code. However, at times, they might like to group things together or events to happen simultaneously. Learners need to think critically and problem solve in order for events to run parallel. The third is reflection. Learners are constantly reflecting on their work through trial, error, and reflection, learners improve their language and code. They work towards making their virtual reality as realistic as possible. Finally, coding. Code is when the learners transform steps in a task into a language that is understood by the computer. Learners begin to learn the basics of code by creating movements for their animation. The next is learner engagement. And I would like to start off with a quote by one of my grade 8 learners, Georgia. She said, "My brother said to me, enjoy every moment because it is the best unit that I have ever done." As a teacher, starting this unit with that feedback already made me so excited. A big part of learner engagement is also how you as a teacher engage and respond to the unit. I absolutely loved this unit, and I think that that ultimately fed down into my learners. However, there is much more to the unit that creates a strong sense of engagement. Firstly, they are instantly attracted and have a favorable attitude to the unit. Why? Because it's about virtual reality. I find this method attracts all learners, especially those who learn visually. And in my opinion, that's most of them anyway. I believe that this is what makes the unit appealing to all. I begin our unit introduction by asking learners what they would prefer: reading a textbook, watching a video, or experiencing learning through a virtual reality. They all choose the latter. It's almost a trick. They're learning these incredible 21st century skills without knowing that they are learning. To them, it sounds like something fun that they would be doing outside of school. So getting them to do it in class is just an absolute bonus. They are already interested in it, so we don't need to remind the learners to remain focused on their work. Therefore, virtual reality is more helpful for the learners. They are going beyond reading about concepts. They just about always choose the virtual reality option because chalk and talk teaching is fast becoming a method of the past. It breathes fresh life into the more laborious topics. They are learning these skills in a way that they learn best, visually. Therefore, we are changing the way our students interact with the subject content. They are becoming proactive participants in their own learning. So I'd like to move on to the second topic. How do I implement virtual reality into my classroom? As ISC is an IB school, we are always looking to problem solve. The problem that I posed to the learners was this. There are no virtual realities that are used as an innovative historical resource at ISC. I would suggest creating a problem and allowing the learners to decide how to solve it. When the learners have the opportunity to choose their own inquiry, they tend to be more enthusiastic about their learning. As educators, we can guide the process from there. For example, in my design class, we go through the following process. We research into the topic, we develop our ideas, we design, and then we reflect and evaluate. The research phase. This is where learners have to create a set of their own inquiry questions. You can see an example of this in the table in the top right-hand corner. An example of an inquiry question would be, how do I use co-spaces? They then inquire into the topic, and this could be done through YouTube videos, images, books, or internet websites. The example that I am showing you here is a learner investigating the Twin Tower attack. The second phase is the development of our ideas. On the slide, you can see how the learners have actually developed their ideas from their initial thoughts, which you can see in the top left-hand corner, through to a storyboard where they start to unpack their idea a little bit more. And then at the bottom, their accurate plan. So if I put on the virtual reality goggles, what will I see? We then get to the creation phase. So this is when the learners dive straight into CoSpaces and start coding and animating their environment. The great thing about CoSpaces is that even though you might not have all the assets available to you, you are able to go through Tinkercad to download 3D objects, and you can simply upload them into CoSpaces. Learners are required to then reflect on the skills that they have developed. So what computer skill, coding skill, have they developed during the creation phase? Here are some other examples of what my learners have created. Besides the Twin Tower attack, you can see the first man on the moon, Hiroshima, and Pompeii. These learners are grade 8 learners, and you can see that they really are trying to make their designs as realistic as possible. Here is an example of virtual reality in action. I hope that the video is sharing, and I'm not too sure if it is glitchy or not, but I promise you CoSpaces is seamless.
It looks good.
Okay, that's good. So for this particular example, this is Christopher Columbus. And a grade 8 learner chose this because it is relevant to them, their history, their culture, their Italian culture. They had to investigate how they can code, make actions happen simultaneously, and besides showing a realistic event, they also wanted to educate their audience through text in the virtual reality. You are able to flick from one scene to the other as needed to show different scenes within a particular event. So reflecting and evaluating. This for me is possibly one of the most valuable parts of the learning journey. Learners have to really think critically and determine whether or not their virtual reality was successful in displaying an accurate representation of the historical event. What Ricardo, one of my grade 8 learners, said is the essence of what we are trying to achieve as teachers. So I would like to share the quote with you in the bottom left-hand side of the screen. Innovative designs such as virtual reality allow us to communicate a particular space and time to our audience because they show information visually and in a more interesting, creative, and immersive way. So the question now is, how could you use virtual reality to enhance teaching and learning? To the left, I have provided a list of software or applications that you can use to bring virtual reality into your classroom. The first, right at the top, is CoSpaces. This is the online application that we have used in our classroom where learners can create their own virtual realities. I personally would highly recommend it. The coding language is similar to Scratch and EV3 Classroom and very, very easy to learn. The second is Google Expeditions. This is a great resource to use in both a hybrid or virtual setting as well. I have linked a sheet to the presentation that I will share a little bit later on the chat. I just want to see if I can share the screen with you. Here we go. Here you've got a whole list of different expeditions that you can take your learners on. You could take them to a museum or to the Aztec ruins. What about even canoeing down the Orange River? If we cannot travel to these magnificent places, then let's bring these places to our learners. The next on the list is Google Tour Creator. And this allows our learners to create their very own virtual tour through Google Street View or with their own 360-degree images if they have the equipment to do so. As Google says, explore the world from a totally new perspective. Learners are able to explore the streets of any town or city through Google Earth. Finally, there's YouTube. There are many videos that support virtual realities. Search for a virtual reality through YouTube in the search bar along with your topic. When you press play, you can select the goggles on the screen to access the virtual reality mode through your phone. So let's have a look at some subject-specific uses. History. Take learners back to a particular historical event. This will help learners remember dates, battles, times in history. Get the learners to create a particular event in time, just like I did. In geography, you could take learners to a region or country, or even view natural disasters. Let's take our learners on an archaeological dig for the dinosaur skeletons. In science, we could take learners on an inward journey to learn more about our bodily functions. In languages and the arts, learners can explore museums, novels, or significant periods in time. Just imagine our learners being able to visit the Blackfriars Theatre where Shakespeare is performed. Or what about learners creating their own scene from a prescribed novel or play? So in conclusion, what have we learned? Firstly, virtual reality is awesome. When implemented correctly, virtual reality can provide opportunities for learners to make discoveries that were previously unknown to the classroom. The pandemic has provided us with many challenges, and virtual reality could provide a solution to many of them. I have found using this method has the capability to reach out and grab learners, both at home and in the class. So I hope that this has given you some new tools to empower you in a new age of education. Any questions? I'm going
Absolutely amazing. The good news is we've got some questions coming through. Jessica, thank you so much. Before I give that, fantastic, absolutely loved it. I really liked this one over here from Paul. A statement more than a question. Jessica, I've been around the block a few times. Your presentation was super brilliant, relevant, on point, well-paced, and informative. So Jessica, I completely agree with that person. So some questions coming through. First one, AR and VR, just plain or real educational value?
Real educational value. I hope that my presentation convinced you of that.
I think I really do think so. And I have to admit that one did come through before your session. Someone asked, could you share links of the products of the VR? So yes, the different links, you can also send it to us. We'll put it out. And then any idea on how VR, AR affects learners with epilepsy? A bit of a technical question.
I actually don't know, to be honest, but I'm sure that there is a lot of information available to you if you Google it.
Okay, brilliant. Jessica, if someone from a teacher side is going, I'm nervous, I need to introduce this into my classroom for the first time, I'm scared it's going to go pear-shaped, what would you advise? What would you encourage them to do as a first step?
The first step is to get your hands on a set of Google Cardboards. They're very cheap, easy to use, easy to get your hands on. The second step is to just be a risk taker and go for it. I think technology is a little bit scary for some, but just put your hands, grab it with both hands, get in there, learn from the kids will learn from you. And yeah, it's just a great learning process for everyone involved the first time you do it.
Awesome.
Can I ask one funny question? What is your best reaction from a student the first time they put VR glasses on? Because I know what my reaction was. I like ripped them off and wanted to run away at one of our events. So what's your best? What is one of your best ones? Yeah, or AR?
To be honest, I've had just positive experience with the kids. They get so excited. That on, especially when they've created the product themselves. They just absolutely love it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Jessica, I like this question from Ilonka again. Thank you, Ilonka. Which were some of the pitfalls you found? What were a couple of your pitfalls?
I think the biggest pitfall for me maybe was when we initially went online learning. It's quite hard to assist learners with coding through a computer screen. But I mean, for me, there's no problems, only solutions. So either I make a little how-to video for them, or I find a how-to video on YouTube and I share that information with them. But initially it was a bit of a challenge, but once I wrapped my head around it, it was fine.
That is amazing. It's interesting. You said just do it, take the risk. Yesterday we had the head of digital learning from Eton College.
The director of digital education.
I always get it wrong. But he said one thing, he said teachers need to take risks when it comes to technology. I think the other thing is you'll most probably find some of the kids will correct you, but that is fine. They will help you.
Corrected many times.
Cool. Jessica, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Once again, I think that comment of Paul's, I've been around the block a few times. Your presentation was super brilliant, relevant, on point, well-paced and informative. So thank you so much. And we really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks. While Jessica's going off and Jason is coming on, Jason is our next speaker. We've had some fantastic one-liners coming through.
So we're going to do this as in the runnings for first place. Therefore, if you have a better one, you may top Claire Blake, but this has got to be my favorite so far. She said this actually happened this week in her class. I'd like to know what age group you teach, Claire. But Isabel stood up. Well, Isabel said, "Mrs. Blake, there's a ghost in the class. My papers keep disappearing from my desk." Lelabile then said, "Oh, Isabel, man, it's the fan. Your papers are on the floor." Me, "Girls, it's a phantom." So I enjoyed that. Well done for your quick wit, Claire, and I'm sure your learners enjoyed that very much. So if you have a better one to top that, then please post it in the chat. But otherwise, we are going to introduce our next speaker.
Brilliant. So coming on stage now is Jason Cook. Jason, if you want to turn your video on. So I think with an event like ours, we've had some teachers who've been around the block, and we've also got some new teachers coming in that are doing incredible stuff. So Jason is a student teacher. He's from Law School Krachbron, and he's going to be talking about VR. So for me, this is exciting that we can learn from kind of the next generation coming through. Jason, welcome on stage.
Good day, how are you guys doing? I just want to find out if you guys are having a better academic year than last year with COVID-19 distress. So I want to talk about VR a little bit more down to earth, or a bit more basically than Jessica did with the programming and all the more advanced stuff in VR. So I'll be talking more about actual, more basic line, the kids put VRs on and watch content that you will be streaming to them live as the educator. All right, so let's begin.
You're up. That video for you.
Not yet.
Okay, let us know when you want it. But Jason, the floor is yours. Enjoy it.
Must I start again?
No, you can start. You midway. Keep going.
Oh, okay, awesome. Okay, over the years, technology has revolutionized our world and daily lives. Technology has created amazing tools, resources, putting useful information at our fingertips. Modern technology has paved the way for multifunctional devices like the smartwatch and smartphone. Computers are increasingly faster, more portable, and higher powered than ever before. With all these revolutions, technology has also made our lives easier, faster, better, and more fun. Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our workshop on virtual reality. And then I'll also be dabbling into AR, or augmented reality. Okay, so when I was a child, and I'm sure all of you can agree with me, the children and toddlers back in the late 90s and early 2000s, all they wanted to do was play with their father's or mom's car keys. Okay, so in today's life, the babies, 1s, 2s, and 3 years old, all they want to do is play with a smartphone. All right, so now we are trying to teach our learners in today's generation in the same way we taught them 20, 30 years back with textbooks, which I disagree on. I personally feel that learners of today really need to use technology because that's what they're interested in. We'll have a look at virtual reality and how it can be utilized in our classroom to enhance the learning environment. So before I start, I just want to talk about the difference between virtual reality and AR technology. Okay, so VR and AR. So they are both goggles you put on your head. I have a VR right here. Okay, so this is a virtual reality headset, right, which has a built-in screen. Okay, so it has a screen underneath which you view. Okay, AR technology, artificial reality, is more like glasses with small screens on that's put on object on the screen that you're looking at. All right, so the difference is if you have AR glasses right now and you're looking at your laptop, which I'm sure all of you are doing, then you could physically see a heart on your laptop if you are doing life science, for example. And you could physically dissect the heart in AR, all right? With VR, you are physically looking at the heart in a different perspective. So you could be within the heart with a 360-degree view, traveling through the chambers of the heart, going through the veins, having a more in-depth review of what's going on with the heart. Okay, so can you show the video, please, so just to give a clearer definition?
Cool, sure. We're going to cue that video now.
Cheers, thanks, Peter.
These days, we spend a lot of time looking at screens. Computers, smartphones, and televisions are a big part of our lives. They're how we get most of our news, use social media, watch movies, and more. Virtual reality and augmented reality are two technologies changing the way we use screens, creating new and exciting interactive experiences. Virtual reality, also known as VR, uses a headset with a built-in screen that displays a virtual environment for you to explore. These headsets use a technology called head tracking, which allows you to look around the environment by simply moving your head. Augmented reality, or AR, is a bit different. Instead of transporting you to a virtual world, it takes digital images and layers them on the real world around you. This is done through the use of either a clear visor or a smartphone. So with VR, you could explore a world full of dinosaurs. But with AR, you could see those dinosaurs moving through the world around you. Both of these technologies are growing at a rapid pace and being implemented in a variety of different ways. Surgeons are using VR to practice highly technical surgeries before operating. Businesses are using them to give consumers virtual tours of products and locations. There are even apps that can use your smartphone's camera to scan and translate a foreign language in real time. As they continue to grow, VR and AR have the potential to greatly change almost every industry. You'll want to keep an eye on them to see how they might soon affect your job and potentially your everyday life.
Goodwill Community Foundation, creating opportunities for a better life.
All right. So now I'm sure we all have a better understanding of what's the difference between AR and VR. So today we'll be speaking about VR mainly, because that's more what I'm into. So I have I figure there's three problems with VR in South Africa, for example, for majority. So number one would be expenses. Okay. So initially when we think of VR, we just think, whoa, really expensive technology. So it is sort of like if I had to say, put tablets in every single kid's hands in your school, you're immediately thinking, wow, 7,000 to 10,000 Rand times X amount of learners in the school. We're going to get to an enormous figure really fast, which is not a very good viable thing for schools in South Africa because we don't always have the money. So I'm going to give you guys three different options of how you can implement schools. One expensive, one mediocre, and then one very, very cheap option. Okay. So the first one would be to have a VR fitted classroom. So as all schools currently have computer classrooms. So most schools still have computer classrooms that they've had since 2000. So 21 years back. They're still using the same computers. And now we have to realize we're dealing with a different generation of child. So we need to start upping that technology. So a VR fitted classroom will have between 20 and 40 VR headsets, ranging between $200 and about $400. So around 5,000 and 10,000 Rand a piece. And then you have one classroom where the kids will then go to the classrooms when their period allows it. Option two would be one VR headset with a smart screen in front of a smart TV in front of the class. And then one learner will be on the VR, and then the rest will be viewing what he's viewing on the TV live. I don't know if you guys have realized that today's generation of children are very strange. So they all have Xboxes and PlayStations, but they would rather spend hours and hours and hours on YouTube watching other people play Fortnite or Call of Duty or whatnot instead of playing it themselves. Okay, so kids of today are into watching other people play games. So they won't have a problem with that. So then you would need one VR headset, one TV. So I mean, let's call it 10,000 for the VR, 10,000 for the TV, and then you have VR in a school premises. Our third option, which is the cheapest, will be Google Cardboard, which the previous speaker did speak about. All right, so Google Cardboard is something you download directly off the internet. So if you just Google Cardboard, you'll get the printout for it. And then you physically cut it out onto a piece of, you stick it onto a piece of cardboard, you cut it out and you fold it up, and then you slide a smartphone into it. So in this case, the children will bring their smartphones, you slide the smartphone into the Google Cardboard, and then you guys technically have VR headsets for each kid in the school at a fraction of the cost. So all the school will be paying for is the cardboard and printing. And then all three options do connect to application. So in this sense, all the headset that's connected to the TV and the Google Cardboard, they could all be connected to a laptop or a tablet from the teacher. And that app would be called HeadCheck. And then using that app, the teacher can then control what the kids are watching. They can choose the content that the kids are watching and live stream video and content directly to the kids' headsets and play simultaneously over a Wi-Fi network though. Okay, so another reason why I don't think VRs have really taken off in South Africa is because of a lack of knowledge, okay? So at my school, for example, the younger generation, we always push and strive for more technology and whatnot. But the older generation, they have more of a lack of knowledge for new technology, and they don't want to experiment with new technology and new ideas. But you'll find that it is relatively easy. I won't say it's a walk in the park, but a couple of YouTube videos and you're good to go. We learn everything from YouTube nowadays anyway. All right, so a couple of things that, a couple of subjects that you can utilize VR technology in is, for example, tourism. You can visit and explore the 8 wonders of the world. Have a look at the Mona Lisa, experience a 5-star reception in Hawaii. Geography, look at landslides, landslides and contours from a different point of view, experience a real-time earthquake or tsunami. History, experience the trenches of World War II, or relive the long walk to freedom. Science, you can experience a lab-orientated experience as it is done by yourself. So, for example, dissecting a heart or dissecting lungs or whatnot. So I know in high school, in high school biology, the kids do dissect frogs and do dissect hearts and whatnot. But in this instance, you can just have all the kids with a VR on, and it's exactly the same concept without the mess and the gagging and whatnot. Okay, and then the list continues. So it's literally as far as your mind can go. As far as Google is on, YouTube videos, there's so many different programs and websites and companies in this world that's making VR content, which the teachers have almost full access to, which they can download and live stream straight to the kids' headsets. I just want to tell you a bit about myself. So I'm Jason Cook. I am studying teaching at the University of South Africa. I work at Laerskool Kragtron in Witbank. It's actually a bit better than Benoni, I believe. And then I own my own virtual reality company, which tours South Africa, which is why I'm probably talking to you about this. Yeah, so VR is a very important tool, I would say, in education, especially with today's learners. I mean, if you spend 4 periods with a class, let's say grade 5s, reading the same story over and over and over,
Is he lost there? It's not showing me. He's lost. Yes. So it's lost there, lost there. There he's lost. He's lost.
Okay.
All right, my apologies. Sorry, I think we have lost Jason. We'll give him a second to come back. We've got a poll at the moment which we'd love you to answer. It asks, and I'm just going to read it, have you used VR in your school? So if you could let us know. So far, we've got 86% have said no. So please do let us know. We're quite intrigued to find out. I think he said what's amazing is the new generation. Jason mentioned if you have 4 periods, trying to keep the kids engaged is hard work. And I think this is something that breaks it down and makes it more unique. I also think, yeah, and I also think there's so much power in just that there is the Google Cardboard option. We're gonna, after this, we're gonna bring on the guys from Merge Edu who have a super powerful product. But it's great to see on VR and AR, there's a variety of options for you and for your school.
Yeah, and thank you. Zelda answered the epilepsy question, so that was really great. I know that Zelda she is working at a school where there is kids assistants, there's ASD kids, I think she said, and she said that they are using these tools in the classrooms. Yeah, there we go. With learners that have epilepsy, and that it's fine, not too much in one day. But I think that may be a given for all kids, and there's no problem. So thank you. We love that we can collaborate on this forum between the teachers. I mean, we don't have the answers. Some of our speakers don't even have the answers. But yeah, together we can do that. Then that's great. Cool. Thank you.
Talking of sharing, I think we have lost our speaker to load shedding.
So it's okay.
So what we're going to do now is I just want to share, we've set up a Flipgrid. So for those of you that aren't using Flipgrid yet, essentially it allows you to share a 60-second video on a topic. It's used by a lot of teachers when they want people in their class to share. Jason is coming live to us. Jason, you are back. Would you like to give 1 or 2 minutes in closing remarks? Sorry, you disappeared, I think, because of load shedding.
Yes, sorry about that. It's this beautiful country of ours with their power problems.
So yeah, Jason, would you like to just give us closing thoughts? Last, I don't know how many more minutes you had left of your presentation, but we've definitely got another minute or two for you.
Okay, so I just wanted to make the point that virtual reality is definitely a very strong, what's it called? What's what I'm looking for? It's a very strong asset in education for nowadays, and the kids of today, or the generation of today, they'll just appreciate the technology a lot more than what we did back in the day. Yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. So Jason, question for you. I know you actually have, if I understand correctly, have bought a whole pile of headsets and you actually go to schools to do a VR class. Is that correct?
Yes, so I own my own company called the Virtual Planetarium, and we have 50 VR headsets that travel around South Africa visiting schools, and then we show them a virtual planetarium in 360 degree.
Brilliant. That is super cool. Jason, if people want to reach out to you, if they want to do that, so would a school just contact you, say, yes, come and do a session, then you send them? How do they actually get in contact with you?
Yeah, so they can just phone me, they can book a session, and then we do travel all over South Africa. We come out, we do about 400 kids per day, and then each learner gets their own session with the VR headsets, and then they watch some 360 degree content.
Cool. Awesome. Jason, thank you. It's just, we appreciate you just giving us the steps, explaining AR, VR in detail, and just explaining how you can do it in a class. And I think for schools, definitely look at those 3 options. I think ideal is if every school could have a bank of VR headsets, but we know that's not always achievable. But maybe just start with Google Cardboard. So Jason, thank you. We appreciate your time. You can drop off, and I'm actually going to invite our next.
Feel free to put your details in the chat bar. I'm sure there are many teachers, chat bar and Hoover. Just now, I'm sure there's many teachers that would like to get hold of you and to explore that option.
Okay, thank you so much. That'll be good. Go.
Legend. Thank you.
Cheers,
next up, I'm inviting Andrew Trickett on stage. So Andrew is the co-founder of Merge Edu, and literally where Jason was explaining the difference between AR and VR, this is AR, which when I saw it for the first time, it literally blew my mind away. So Andrew, thank you for waking up early. You're on mute at the moment, just so you know. What is the time in the States at the moment?
Oh, it's not too bad. It's 8:48. I should be up and going by now.
All right. Well, I'm glad we could get you out of bed. Andrew, the floor is yours. We'd just love, I think you have some of the most exciting tech I've ever seen, and I know a lot of South African schools are using it. So please do share. At the moment, you're sharing your Excel spreadsheet, so you are aware.
Wonderful. So sorry, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can see an Excel spreadsheet at the moment.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not what we want.
At the very least, it's blank. Don't worry.
How about now?
That's better, yeah.
All right, perfect. All right, let me just go view. All right, am I full screen?
Over to you.
Awesome, we're good to go?
Good to go.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Andrew Trickett, and I am the co-founder of Merge EDU. And Peter, thank you so much for inviting me to be here. And we were kind of a last-minute substitution, so bear with me. But really pleased to be here. And also, it's great to follow on from what Jason said, because what I want to do is kind of help make the case for VR, and we're a bit more focused on AR and a different kind of AR than Jason kind of talked about, but I think it's a nice compliment. But let me also say that we do have a registration for a prize. I'm going to give you, the winner is going to get an individual teacher license for the technology that I'm about to show you. And all you have to do is go to mergeedu.com/Schoolscape, and I'm going to show that at the end. So let me kind of get into it. First of all, to make the case for why AR, VR in education, I'm going to build on what Jason said. but kind of expand on it is, I would say that intellectually, the reason we knew that this would work before we even really started building it is that most of us are visual spatial learners by nature, right? And if you think about what augmented reality and virtual reality really are, they are very deep visual spatial experiences. So the more engaging it is in that fact, it shouldn't be a surprise that it's a very powerful educational platform. And I don't need to convince you that, how important engaging is. I've learned not to use the word fun because that has some negative connotations sometimes with educators. But as you know, the more engaging it is, the more that the student will be motivated to get in there and mix it up with the lesson, and therefore, learn that information and retain that information long after the experience. And that's kind of what it's all about for us as an educational community, right? The other thing that I would say is it enables things that are, quote, impossible and makes them possible. And what I mean by that, there's different dimensions to it. Either it's literally impossible, like holding the earth in your hand and pressing on some of the different tectonic plates, like what we're showing here in the animation, or it's phenomenally dangerous, or it's unbelievably expensive, like going to Antarctica is a favorite VR field trip experience, and that'd be pretty difficult for most people to afford. And the other thing that I would kind of make the case for is that augmented reality and virtual reality is going to be a major force in current students' lives. And not just in how they kind of make virtual field trips entertainment themselves, but how they will get work done, how they will learn things, how they will communicate and socialize with each other. So they need to start learning it now in school. So that's kind of my case for AR, VR. And what I want to do is kind of switch over to showing what we do, our particular brand of augmented reality. And what I'm kind of showing here now is an animation of what we do. That what you see here is the cube, we call it the merge cube, and you activate an application on a device. The device does need to have a rear facing camera, and the app is communicating with the cube via computer vision. My co-founder hates when I say this, but you can kind of think of it as a super QR code. So that cube is feeding back the information to the app, which says things like, how am I rotated? How close am I? How far away am I? And so what happens is it creates this incredible illusion of not only seeing a hologram in your hand, but even kind of feeling it. And even though you're kind of pressing on the screen and interacting with the 3D object that way, it fools the brain into feeling the earth in your hand, or sometimes even an animation. It's a really powerful illusion. And the other really cool thing about our particular platform is we're not just engaging the sense of sight, but also the haptic sense, the sense of touch, right? And you as professional educators know that the more senses we engage, the more powerful the learning experiences, right? So, and that's something that's usually missing within AR, VR is this sense of touch. I would say haptic gloves are a long, long ways away, but until that happens, this has turned out to be a pretty powerful way of going about it. So that's the core technology that we've developed. And essentially, kind of the fancy words on here on the screens, we're using spatial computing technology, which is a broader term for augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, what have you. It's spatial computing technology that's creating tools that allow the students to not only, again, see that that digital hologram, but even kind of physically interact with it. So that's what we do. And I'm going to talk a bit about, again, not so much to make this a commercial, but to inspire you, like how can you use augmented reality, virtual reality in different ways? We have a specialty in two areas, which is science and STEM. So what we've done in science, and this is particularly powerful, and one of the things that I wanted to inspire you for is that look, teaching everything got harder with the pandemic, but science probably amongst the hardest, because we're so, the reason that you have teaching aid kids, that are now sitting in the closets, or at least in American schools, they're sitting in closets because either the students are at home, or even if they are in the classroom, you're not allowed to pass around shared resources, right? So you've completely, or at least in American schools, they have lost access to those really vital aids. And there's a reason that the schools bought all of those aids, is that they are essential to teaching complex science subjects, right? So what we've developed is the ability is all of these, we've replicated those teaching aids with digital counterparts. So it's kind of become the only viable alternative to those physical counterparts. And we've developed some collections over 1,000 digital teaching aids. And we added up the value of it. If you were to go out and actually buy the kits of every single object and every single collection that we've built, and it's over $10,000 US. But the really interesting thing about it's not just, hey, you know, we're giving you back access to teaching aids, is that these are different from the physical teaching aids, right? Because the students can have access to them anytime and anywhere. And so it's like you're putting $10,000 worth of digital teaching aids in every student's hands, accessible 24/7. And even if things ever, quote, get back to normal, whatever that means, you know, you still want these things available to the student for homework. So, you know, that's always an ongoing need. And what we're finding, and this is obviously crucial, is that they're just as effective as their physical counterparts. You know, that core illusion is really a powerful thing. That's something that's being proven out in an increasing number of studies. The other thing that we've done is kind of the visually most spectacular, as you can kind of see here on the animation, is we've built some interactive simulations. There's over 100. And what it does is just really help you explain complex science topics more easily. And like I said, because most of us are visual spatial learners, it's just a more natural, more intuitive, more powerful way, you know, for us to learn these things. Obviously, better engagement equals, you know, a higher likelihood that the student's going to retain that information. We have aligned these activities to standards, primarily for what we in the US, I've learned to be careful about that, is kindergarten through 8th grade, and we've integrated quizzes into the activities. Now, speaking of the activities, something, you know, that we had to do, if any of you were familiar with us before the pandemic started, is around April, May, we realized, hey, we needed to completely rewrite all the activity plans. And the reason for that is that the original versions were under the assumption that, you know, the traditional case where the teacher is walking around a physical room, you know, able to kind of look over the student's shoulder and manage what's going on. And that's certainly something we still need to accommodate. But what we need to do is rewrite them, because it might be a student-led activity, you know, not just a teacher-led activity, also something that could accommodate a remote learning environment, not just the in-class environment. So that's what we've done for science, and I want to kind of inspire you guys into, you know, how this can be used for science. But some of the really cool things are for STEM. And by the way, some of the things I'm going to talk about extend outside of STEM and science, because one of the things that we've done, in addition to all of the content that Merge has created, is we allow the students to upload their own 3D objects. And that's really powerful and really fun. So some of the most popular tools that we've seen, they're certainly not the only ones, is younger kids will use something like Tinkercad or Minecraft EDU if your district is licensing it already. The older kids might use a CAD software like SolidWorks. But there's also technologies like Clone, that's Qlone, where you can load an app and scan a real world object, and it forms a 3D model of that real world object. But you can upload that object, your own object, onto the cube for the viewing, which is really powerful and can be used for any subject. But what we found it's really popular for is STEM projects, particularly when you're using it as a visualization tool for 3D printing. Right, because you want to get that object just so before you send it to print, because it takes a long time. It is expensive, you know, to get a print wrong. And also in a virtual learning environment, you may not have access to printers right now, but this is a way to still work all of that into your STEM projects and still have a STEM program, even if when the kids are at home. So what it allows for is a really efficient use of what we call the engineering design process of designing something, visualizing, getting the feedback, able to push it out to the teacher and to their peers to get feedback, or to simply present it, show off, if you will. And what we've done is we've developed some projects that are based upon future careers, and they can support a week-long project, a semester-long project, a year-long project, however you want to use them. And again, they're designed for any physical context, whether it's remote only, in-class only, or a hybrid of the two. So that's just a really quick preview of what we've done. And one of the things I want to encourage you is, if you go onto our website, mergeedu.com, is we give free 2-week trials to educators. Pretty simple to get on there, register for an account, create an account, download the apps and sign into them and explore. One of the things that we are doing, and I guess I need to talk to Jason, is we're building up the distribution, you know, of these within South Africa, but we have some partners that we're already starting to work with. So if you are interested, please reach out to us, and also on our website, you can press, you know, learn more, contact sales. And the last thing that I want to leave you with is, please, if you want to learn more, please reach out to us. We're obviously happy to let you know what's going on. Or even if you just want to talk about AR, VR in general, we're happy to have those discussions. But again, we have an entry here. If you go to mergeedu.com/Schoolscape, there's an entry form that we're going to give one of you a individual teacher license, and we'll line you up with a cube as well, for where you can explore all of this, in depth. And I've put some other contact information here. But Peter, that's the end of my presentation. I don't know if there's time for Q&A, maybe not, but thank you very much.
We had some great questions.
Great.
We're just going to check that link to make sure it's working. Someone did try earlier and said there might have been a problem. So Andrew, we'll check it now though. A question that came in, one of the questions just came in, how do you set up the classroom? So does every kid need to be on Wi-Fi? How does it practically roll out?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say that there's three main pieces to the platform. There's one app that has all the simulations, one app that has all the digital teaching aids and also facilitates the upload. And then there's some web-based teacher management tools. So for a classroom, kind of building on what Jason said, we've seen different things, and particularly, I want to respect some of the challenges that South Africa might have. We've seen different deployments where every student has their own cube and they're downloading devices if they have access to the device. There can be shared accounts, by the way. There's different licensing models. And so each student has their own cube and their own experiences. Another thing that we have seen is where a teacher has a teacher license, only she has the cube, but she's projecting it to the classroom so that even if the students aren't having that kind of haptic and experience, they can still have the visual experience. And it's still a really powerful platform for the teacher to convey complex subjects related to science or STEM. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah. Do you have an actual cube by any chance with you?
Yeah, hold on just 1 second.
I think when you just see the real one, it helps make it, there we go. So that's the real cube. And then what you do is you just put your phone up in front of it. It's absolutely amazing.
We actually, I was telling Pete now, we had one at our event 2 years ago. And it was a giveaway as a prize, and I had no clue what you used it for, and I just didn't get a chance to go ask the company what you used it for. I know, and then I saw it now, and I was like, oh, if I knew, I would have kept it.
We need to talk.
Andrew, just so you know, the mergeedu.com/Schoolscape link, I don't think is working.
All right, let me see what's going on.
So you can get that one activated. But Andrew, that's absolutely fantastic. It's amazing the technology that you have been able to implement. And one last question.
Peter, if you don't mind, one last thing is that please, it was working yesterday. I'll get it going. So just kind of write that down. Try, everyone, if you want to try it throughout the day, we'll make it good.
Cool. Let me just email me when it's ready, and then we'll let everyone know.
Wonderful.
But Andrew, that's actually our time. So thank you. But please, we want that link. I think our schools want to win what you have on offer them. I think all of the schools want to use this. So
Absolutely.
We appreciate you coming in live from the States. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for the invite. Bye, everyone.
Cheers. You can stop sharing your screen and drop your camera. And then it is my privilege to invite our next person on stage. So I'm quite excited about this one because Jason was talking about planetariums, and Z is from Immersive Experiences from the UK, but they are in, I don't know how many countries around the world. Z is going to have to share with me. So Z, if you would like to come on stage. Z has disappeared. There you are. Z is there. He's there. Z, if you want to pop your camera on, while I backhand my colleague here. Z, we've got a couple of questions set up for you because I'm really excited about what you have on offer. But welcome on stage. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you very much, guys, for inviting me again.
Yes, brilliant. And I think the backdrop is super relevant that you put on your virtual backdrop. Very, very cool. Okay. Z, maybe as a starting point, your company is called Immersive Experiences. Why?
So good question. I do get asked that question a lot, more now than when I actually established the company, because when I established the company well over a decade ago, nobody was talking about immersive experiences, that those phrases weren't as relevant, I suppose, at the time. And my ethos has always been to develop technology and to teach children for the future. So I come from a teaching background. I'm an astronomer, as you probably gathered from my background. And I realized that children, especially now and in the future, they want to learn in a variety of formats and using various technologies. So the word immersive just automatically kind of came to me. And then I was really proud to obviously first coin it in the UK and Europe mainly. And it's brilliant to see that everything now is about experiences. And the future is about experiences. People want experiences, whether it's a birthday, a wedding, a holiday, or of course, education. And education should be an experience now more than ever. And when we are certainly teaching children around the world, we realize that the experience for them is the number one thing that they want. They want it amazing, they want it to be memorable, and then they learn more. So that's basically why we call it immersive experiences. It means it's a word, it's a phrase, it's the name of a company that will hopefully see us through into the future. And so far, we've been able to embrace the technology that's coming, whether it's VR, AR, immersive technologies, and we can embrace it, purely based on our already branded name, which is immersive experiences.
So Z, before we actually talk more about your products that you offer, and this is something just everyone has hit on today, why is VR such a powerful tool? And I think, and the reason we did a poll earlier, and I think 75% of our audience has never used VR in the classroom. So why is VR such a powerful tool for the classroom?
So the first thing to say about VR is it has been here for a long time. VR is not necessarily what I would say new technology. VR has been around for decades. What is new and what is powerful about VR is the way it's being applied. So the way it's been applied for people in education and entertainment is absolutely stunning. I mean, we can, for example, take children under the ocean, we can make them walk with dinosaurs, they can explore the galaxy in a virtual reality setting. And the reason why that's important is because we all have our own imagination, we all learn individually, we all have different abilities and skills, but by transporting your audiences into that virtual environment, it becomes their world. And that's never been done as powerfully as it has done in recent times. And that's why it's so amazing. So if you're out there and you're a teacher and you haven't explored VR, you're using huge boards and textbooks, which are fine. By transporting your students into that subject, by exposing them into that world, they might not be leaving their town or village for years until they graduate or get a job or something like that. Then VR is the way to do it. And in our case, we integrate our virtual reality, not just with the standard headset, but also all around you, because the world is all around us. So we should be looking all around us. And that's why VR is so powerful.
All right. So on that note, what are your actual products? I think, what are your products and how can South African schools use them?
We have quite a large list of products, so I won't go through all of them. The flagship ones, of course, will be our planetariums. Our planetariums are very, very powerful. They're already in South Africa. The Cape Town Science Centre have bought one of our digital planetariums. The University of Pretoria have bought them. And the reason why they buy our domes isn't because they're in 40 plus countries, but because the planetariums aren't just there to teach one subject. You can teach, in our case, 15 subjects, various languages. You can utilize them for outreach, which is brilliant for funding. So if your school in South Africa, you want to get your school image out there and you want to reach difficult communities or communities that are hard to reach, you can use them through the planetarium. And of course, because we manufacture them, the prices are absolutely fantastic now. So we can match all sorts of budgets. Our planetariums start from $30,000 up to $10 million. So there's a budget for everybody. And that's the biggest product that I'd probably recommend for South Africa, because South Africa is already engaging with us, and we're part of SASTEC, which is the community of science centers. And we're keen now to support as many schools as we can in the region as well.
So Z, maybe just explain for me, you talk about these planetariums, these domes, so could a school set up a little planetarium in their school?
They can. Yeah, they can. So we have a nice little dome, which is, we measure them in diameters, but to give an example, a small dome, which will hold 30 children, which is a typical class size here in the UK. They will go inside one of these spherical domes, and the magic is you can have multiple teachers teaching within that dome. So you can think of it as an immersive classroom where you can teach the entire year group in that one classroom, that one dome, because you can change the subject as you go. You can teach a bit of space, a bit of science, a bit of history, and you can do it all within that environment. And what's amazing is we have research from universities here in the UK that have shown the retention rate for students is almost doubled. So when we teach in a classroom, we assess them, see how much they've learned. We then assess them after going into one of our planetariums, and they've learned twice as much. And it's purely because the children now are very aware of digital learning. They expect it to be done to a very high standard, but more importantly, because it's so entertaining, they remember. And we always remember things that we find entertaining.
So Z, if I get this right, you set up a dome, the school buys a dome, 30 kids sit in, and then you beam across the roof on the inside, a history lesson, a science lesson, and the kids can look around. Am I getting this right?
Yeah. And what's absolutely amazing is our projection technology is rather unique in the world, because say if the school does not have space for a dome, you can project within the classroom itself. So one community centre / school in George, the Incubator Science Centre, they have a plain room, no windows, and we're planning to transform that into an immersive classroom. So you can actually use the projection technology within your existing building. The advantage of a dome, of course, is you can travel from school to school, invite other schools. And I mentioned our 5-metre dome, the small 30 children capacity dome, but our biggest dome holds over 100 children. If you're willing to teach 100 children at a time, then you can go for the bigger dome.
Okay, cool. And so you've got a whole pile of content available. Do you have content available for South African schools in some Afrikaans, Zulu, any other of those languages?
Yeah, we already do. So because our customers around the world have already started to create shows in different languages, whether it's Afrikaans or Zulu or Xhosa, I think it's Xhosa pronounced, or you can actually dub it in your own language with your own accent, and then we can help you do that, or you can subtitle it. And we already have content ready to go, which just needs your own little touch on it, but it's ready to go. And what's great about it is we have a catalogue of something like 200 shows covering 15 different subjects. So you've got quite a broad variety of programs that are ready to go, ready to be dubbed and translated into various languages.
Absolutely amazing. Okay, so if a school wants to engage with you, if they want to get a dome, if they want to use your kind of stuff inside the classroom, what do they do? How do they engage with you?
There's two ways. I have a representative in South Africa now, a lovely gentleman called Akash Giraffe, who is the manager at the Cape Town Science Centre. And you can either reach out to him directly, or of course, because this is my second Schoolscape, my details will be given to all of your members today. So you'll be able to email me directly, and you'll be able to visit my website directly, where you'll be able to see all of our services, not just for South Africa and domes, but our virtual reality and other programs as well. So you can just contact us directly.
All right. And now comes the fun part. You've just told me that you have a $10,000 dome that you want to give away. So I've been waiting for this. Give us some more.
Yep. So every year we donate as a company. So it shouldn't hopefully be too much of a surprise that people who already know us. We a percentage of our profits are donated every year, regardless. Having worked already in the South African region and Africa as a continent, we have highlighted that there are a lot of communities there that do need some additional support, whether it's finance or funding. Due to the various international rules and laws, it's easy for us to donate some of our equipment and hardware. And that's what we're doing in this occasion for you guys and your members and visitors for Schoolscape today, where they will basically be entitled for a free planetarium dome. That's to start them off. It's all valued at around about $10,000. You literally just pay for your shipping, and we will help you set it up, get you along the way, help with content. And even if you don't win the actual dome, we've just released approximately 20 domes from our international fleet. And these are domes that have been used really well. They've been renovated. And if you don't have the budget of 30,000, we are basically going to cover at least half the cost for you to get you started. You shouldn't have to be behind just because you don't have the budget. So my job is to make sure you get a step up, You get a beautiful planetarium system. And as I mentioned, you will just pay for your shipping and customs. The dome itself will be completely free. And the consultancy and educational services that we provide will provide that for free as well.
That's amazing. I'm just going to share my screen.
You don't have 30,000. We are basically going to cover at least half the cost for you to get you started.
Excuse the background noise. Is that your dome in the background of this picture, that black thing? Have I pulled up the right thing? So
that's one of our domes that was used in the marquee for a school event. And what's great, of course, is one of the questions we do get asked is, can it be used outside? And the domes can be. We recommend a marquee because in this example, as you can see, it protects you from the weather and the elements. And what's fantastic is this is almost like an outdoor classroom. So the dome can stay there, or you can repurpose it for some entertainment, events and parties and things like that. But you can actually create a beautiful STEM science fair. You can have augmented reality, virtual reality workshops, all in that outdoor marquee space. So people can come in and out that particular dome. The dome you showed as well is what you call an accessible dome. So that's a dome that's accessible for people with wheelchairs, disabilities, special learning needs. And we have a huge number of programs that have been developed just for those audiences. We call them people of determination because they have a lot of determination. And those programs will also be made available to the schools in South Africa.
Awesome. So, Azee, we're going to post into the chat bar now how people can enter in. Basically, they need to go to your website. They need to fill in a booking form. Just in the comments, put Schoolscape 21 as a reference. But Zee, thank you. I think that is absolutely incredible. Just a reminder for everyone, just part of the T's and C's. You're going to win the dome, but you will just need to pay for shipping, but which is going to be a fraction of the cost. And of
course, yeah, of course.
But Zee, thank you. Well done on the incredible work you've done, and I really appreciate your time.
Amazing. All the best for the rest of the conference, guys. Thank you. Take care.
Brilliant. Okay, next up, I'm really excited because we're going to be hitting our inspiration. But
before we hit our inspiration, shall we incentivize you? We love giving away prizes here at Schoolscape. I always feel like we are a bit like the Oprah show at Christmas. But I wish we could give one to each of you. But there are some amazing prizes still up for grabs. I'm going to run through a quick list and then tell you how to win them. But if you're a Briar, so I think that encompasses most South Africans, there is and there might be a debate if this is brying or not, but it's definitely in the winter kind of brying. There's a 57 centimeter Weaver kettle bry, so that's like your nice big Weaver at Masons. So if you pop over to Masons and enter their deals and offers, you can win that Weaver. Toshiba's giving away both a high school and a primary school prize, and they're just such great prizes. Primary school is a Bubblegum Junior Plus tablet, and high school is a Lenovo tablet, and they said you could win this and use it for yourself, for your school, or as a raffle for your school. So that might just be a nice fundraising opportunity for your class. And yeah, PPM is still giving away a few more of their online school kits. So those are worth almost 10,000 Rand, comes with visualizers and all kinds of different aspects of AV equipment, and that'll enable you to do school online so much better. And then the last one I wanted to highlight, which I thought was really phenomenal, as we're speaking so much about new kinds of technologies coming into schools, is that a company that we love and respect a lot, Resolute Robotics, they are giving away a 25,000 Rand Innovation Day for a school. So this is where they will come in and do a whole day of kind of different courses and just fun for your school on robotics, to introduce robotics to your school and your learners. So please go over to the exhibitor area, exhibitor arena, let's call it, and go and into the deals and offers. Go and check out the amazing companies that are doing amazing things. And I know there's a lot of those companies that have aspects that will help you flourish in your class and your kids will love. So yeah, go over and check those out. And
now it's time for some inspiration.
So
I'm going to invite Rian on stage. I'm also just going to invite Leon from Rian and Leon. This is confusing, from PPM. They are the kind sponsors. This event is free because we have companies like Leon sponsoring it. So Leon, if you want to pop on stage quickly, I've got a quick question for you before we hand over to Rian. There's Leon. Leon, you disappeared yesterday while we were presenting.
I do apologize about that. Sorry, guys.
No worry. Leon, I think one of your faster sellers at the moment is your visualizers, which are favorites for schools. If a school is looking for a visualizer, what would you recommend for them? What is a great option, a great product?
Yeah, so look, there's various models. When schools normally want a visualizer, the first thing I ask them is for what subject. So, your entry level. So, the visualizers basically just differ in camera lenses. So your entry level basic visualizer could cater for basically all your subjects, but it depends on the quality that you want to show. So if you want to show, finer details like circuit boards and stuff like that, then you need quite a decent one with 8 megapixel camera and 27 times optical zoom. So it really just depends on what you want to do, and then one can take it then from there, and that will help you decide which visualizer suits you best.
Right, and Leon, we know you guys are giving away 4 prizes of like 9,000 Rand. In that 9,000 Rand, am I correct in saying people can win a visualizer for their classroom?
Correct, yeah. So what's included in that 9,000 Rand is number 1, a visualizer, number 2 is a webcam, and number 3 is a write and wipe. So there's 5 sheets. So basically there's no need to write on a whiteboard anymore, because your whiteboard is now this A3 sheet, which is underneath your visualizer.
Wow, so you write and then it just, you just share it up on screen. Awesome.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah.
Leon, that is absolutely amazing. Leon, we have sadly no more time for you because we're hitting our inspiration session. But I think what you offer is inspirational to all the schools out there. Teachers, you could have a visualizer in your classroom next week. So pop across to PPM and just visit them at their stand, into their deals and offers. And if you also, our main prize, our passport competition, if you visit 8 stands and engage with people, you can go into the prize. So PPM, a massive thank you for making this free for our schools. We really appreciate it.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Thanks. Enjoy.
Brilliant. All right. I'm going to invite Rian on stage, who is going to introduce our next speaker. And he did this yesterday, and I managed to find mine. So I am popping mine on. And just a reminder,
and I'm leaving because I'm no longer part of this conversation.
Just a reminder, if you've not entered our one-liner competition, please do in the chat bar, pop that in. But Rian, I'm ready.
Pete, my man, really, you look the part. You can play the part. Ashley, where's yours?
Rian, you never gave me one.
That's a sad state of affairs. I will make sure that you get yours.
Brilliant. Rian, okay. The floor is yours to introduce our next speaker, but over to you.
Thank you very much, Peter and Ashley, and congratulations on a fantastic Schoolscape. And from my side also to PPM, thanks for sponsoring this inspirational slot. I think a lot of people enjoyed the inspiration, and still the last one with Sandy. I'm really stoked. I think that's the cool word to use, to stoke, to introduce you to Sandy Smith. Sandy is the principal or the headmistress of Kenridge Primary in Bellville. If you don't know where Kenridge is, it's right in the middle between Durbanville and Innie Bellville. So we would say right in the middle. She's the principal of this primary school, and it is a big school. They have 1,600 pupils, and that's excluding the pre-primary. So Sandy's been the principal from 2011. And before that, she was a grade 7 teacher, maths and English. And I've got to know Sandy, and this will probably, a lot of people will disagree with me on this, but this is my take on primary schools. I think Sandy is running one of the best, if not the best, primary schools in South Africa. And she's a strategic thinker. and she's fascinated by the future and what it's hold. And she's a born and bred Capie, a Cape Townian. So Sandy, welcome to the floor and to the stage, and we're looking forward to your inspiration. I'm going to jump off this. You won't find me at the end of this. Mario said he was looking for me, but he couldn't find me. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to disappear. The floor is yours. Sandy, we're looking forward. Enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, Sandy Smith.
Thank you, Rian. Thank you, Rian. It really is an honor to be here. And when I listen to you say that I'm a strategic thinker and that I like the big picture, I think that it is very typical that I'm going to speak about this topic today. I'm just going to share my screen. I hope I can do this. Let me just see. There it is. Sorry, I'm going to get to share the screen now.
We'll let you know when it is live.
Okay.
It's not there yet.
Okay.
There's share screen at the bottom. It should pop up the options. Then you select the ones and click share.
Okay. And share. Okay, I've got it. I just want to, sorry. Slideshow from beginning. There we go. Yes, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, I think Rian's introduction introduced me as a strategic thinker, and I think that stood me in good stead when we had to look at how to run a school under COVID conditions. And we ended the year last year with this very warm and fluffy feeling of, we would start the year with a theme of dream, because we felt that after the tough year that everybody had, we all deserved a little bit of fluffiness, a little bit of dreaming, only to find that when we started the year, there was going to be no dreaming. There were going to just be more challenges and more stumbling blocks along the way. And so we changed our thinking completely, and we decided this year that our theme would be Rise to the Challenge. And I think that for me is indicative of what the education profession has done so very well in such a short time. There were people who were floundering, professions who were floundering, but the people who stood up and were counted are the educators and the educational profession, because they saw a challenge, and in such a small time, they turned education around, and they managed to be successful in learning new skills and to teaching children in a condition that nobody really was trained for. So the challenge for me was being the strategic thinker, being this person that always was able to be absolutely in control, because I'm futuristic. I was always 10 steps ahead of everybody in my thinking. I don't know that I always executed it, but I was always ahead in what I thought. And suddenly we were faced with a situation that was reactive. And I want to say that this quote just for me is amazing. It says, there are no great people in this world, only great challenges which ordinary people rise to meet. And that's what the education sector did. And I think every single teacher needs to just pat themselves on the back. I think you need to just stop and breathe sometimes and say, you know what? We were ordinary people who rose to a massive challenge and made a big change in education. And I don't think education always is, teachers are always getting the credit for that. So in this challenge that we had to accept, we started this year with a warm, fluffy feeling, as I said, and actually it just didn't go our way. And we found that we were under tremendous pressure to open our school in full. And we, as Rian said, we are a big school. We're about 2,000 children on campus, and we were under tremendous pressure from our community to open our school in full. And we'd done quite a bit of investigation about this last year and came to the conclusion that we could not do it. And so at the end of the day, I think this is what held true of a lot of what happened in my life last year. I think one of the biggest obstacles in meeting the challenges is actually our own fear of failure. And I think that is what stopped us. We looked at the conventional last year. We looked at how many venues, how many children, how many desks, and we did the calculation. And we decided that actually we could not bring our learners back safely into this environment. And so we stopped. And we thought that everybody would be happy with that. And they weren't. And I think my big my big thing was that we were afraid, I was afraid, that if I brought children back into an environment that wasn't safe, I was afraid of the failure. I was afraid of people being ill. I was afraid of all sorts of things. Until I realized that you cannot face a challenge if you don't accept that there's got to be change. And that's what we did so well as educators last year. We decided that we needed to change, and we did it. And so within that word challenge is the word change. And you cannot spell challenge without having change in it. So my advice to you is, if you are going to accept or rise to a challenge, you have to know that you have to be prepared to change. And that was the biggest fear. We were running such a slick operation. We were, in terms of protocols and in terms of everything else, we were just on top of our game. But to bring the whole school back was a real challenge. So rising to a challenge, I think, as an educator is different to rising to a challenge in any other area of life generally, because you are so responsible for so many people. And well done, educators. We did it. We as an educational fraternity, we did that. We rose to challenges, and we did what other people didn't necessarily or think we were able to do. And this quote was, when she rose above the challenge, she realized if it wasn't for the challenge, she may never have learned how to fly. And I think that that was so important in our situation. When we decided that actually, you know what, we actually have to do this. We cannot walk around making excuses. If we decide that we are going to make a change and rise above the challenge, we are going to be able to fly. And I just have to commend so many staff members who had to make so much change. We had one teacher who changed classrooms twice. Bearing in mind, we left at the end of last year totally and utterly organized, and knowing that we were going to be able to start this year, classrooms were ready, everything was fine. And we came back, and within the first week, we had people moving classes. We changed the staff room to a classroom, and we brought in extra teachers. We brought in just amazing things happened. And it was because people were prepared to make the change. And if in education, if we were not prepared to make a change, we were never, ever going to be able to rise to the challenges that were posed to us during the year. And so I think that that's something that I've learned over this time, and I want to share with you, is that if you are a person like me who needs to know what the big picture is, I've learned that the department is not going to give you a manual, and you cannot wait for the whole big picture to be in place before you start. So in this journey that we travel this year ahead, my challenge to you is to understand that a journey of 1,000 miles is going to begin with one step. And I challenge you to make a change by taking the first step. And I think that was something that I really had to think and get my mind around, was I actually wanted to have a big picture before I took a step. And I realized in the crisis and the pandemic, there wasn't a big picture. You would have to take the step in order to start the journey, in order to be on the road. So I had to get my mind around, are we going to do this one day? Or is this going to be day one? And that's a decision that you have to make when you are faced with a challenge. You know that it has to be change involved, but you have to decide whether you're just going to put that change off and say, this is going to happen one day. And gosh, haven't all these speakers challenged us, from AR to all sorts of things in terms of technology and security and a new way of looking at cyber security and all sorts of things. We have been challenged with so many different things that we have to face in education that we never thought we would have to do. So do we look at that and say, one day I will introduce AR, one day I will look at my security? Or do I say this is day one and I must decide, am I going to take that step? And Martin Luther King actually said, you don't have to see the whole staircase, you just have to take the first step. And that doesn't come naturally to us in education. In education, we are so about planning and looking at the terms work and the year planner And we are absolutely about all of that. But sometimes a challenge just requires you to look up and to take the first step. So in the words of Martin Luther King, you don't have to see the whole staircase. You don't have to see the big picture. You don't have to have a year planner for this. You just have to take the first step. And then what I do often, or not often, every Monday, I send out a Monday motivation to our staff. And sometimes it's hit and miss. Sometimes you get 1 or 2 people who say, thank you, I really needed to read this. And then there'll be a week or 2 where nobody says anything, and clearly you've missed the mark. But when I sent out this particular one that I'm going to end off with, I realized that actually this was so needed. People just needed to know this. And this is a piece that says you did your best today. And I think that's what we have to, when we are accepting a challenge and when you are participating in the challenge, you have to realize that you're not going to be successful every time. So you did your best today. You did what you could. You could have done more, possibly. You could have done things differently, sure. But you did what you did, and that's that. That is that. Your intentions were good. Your efforts were from the heart. But you know what? Life gets in the way. Life has a really big, annoying habit of changing your plans, railroading your goals, and sending you off on a tangent. Sometimes it's all we can do just to get through by the skin of our teeth. We make lists. Some days we clear them. Some days we don't even make a start. Some days all we seem to do is add to that list. Heck, some days we can't even begin to make lists at all. We are so distracted. Let it go before you sleep. Tomorrow is a new day. Trust that you will always be enough, even when you get it wrong. Because the thing is, you're trying and you want to be better. And that is enough. You did your best today, my friend. Now pass this on. Let someone else know that they did their best too. We are all in this together. Hashtag, you are enough. And I think that is just so important for us in the educational fraternity to realize we can face challenges, but it is going to take change, and that you have to take the first step. And I don't know of any teacher or person in education who walks into the school and decides, today I'm not going to do my best. So I think for everybody out there, pat yourselves on the back, because wow, we did rise to the challenge and you did do your best today. And tomorrow is another day. So let it go before you sleep, because tomorrow will be the day that might just be the one that's going to be a successful one. So I wish you all the best in a year that I suppose is going to give us even more challenges. But instead of facing the challenges with trepidation, I suggest we look at them with excitement of looking at how can we face this and do things differently in the future. So all my best wishes to everyone, and we're all in this together, and you are enough.
Thank you so much, Sandy. I love that.
Sandy, some of the comments. I love your Monday motivation, Mrs. Smith. So true. Planning a start can take a long time. What's more effective is start and then plan the next step. People talking about powerful words, one day or day one, powerful. So Sandy, I think you have hit it on the head. I've got a question for you, Sandy. As you are a principal and you've got a lot of teachers, if a teacher approaches you and they've got an idea to do something new in the school, how do you want them to approach you that wins you over and really gets you excited to say to them, yes, go? What advice would you give those teachers in approaching their principals?
I think that in our school, we often say that if you don't take the opportunity, and because we're such a big school, you can get lost in the system. So in our school, it is come to us, talk to us, give us your idea, and we can evaluate what goes on. I appreciate a direct approach. I appreciate somebody who's going to come to me with a new idea that is solution-driven. Not a problem seeker, but solution driven. That is always a good way of approaching somebody and saying to them that you know what, I've investigated. That's always important. I've investigated. I've got some information. think it's going to make a difference. And that's the most important thing. It's got to make a difference, and it's got to be good for the children, it's got to be good for the staff, and it's got to be something that's going to improve on what we've already got, but directly. I think that's the easiest way of doing things, I think.
Brilliant. Sandy, thank you so much. We really appreciate you taking the time to share with us. To all the teachers out there, take a risk. Go to the principal. If you've got an idea, go to solve a problem, bring a solution. So thank you so much. Sandy, we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Brilliant. It's time to give away some prizes. So Sandy, thank you. We're going to invite Ashley Lawrence just to jump on screen while Ashley tees up some prizes. We've got a one-liner who needs a winner, and the prizes that the one-liner is going to get is actually from Sonic Wall. So Ashley Lawrence is from Sonic Wall. Sonic Wall is the main sponsor for the events. This event would not be free if it was not for Sonic Wall. They were the company that backed us, said, guys, go for it, you can do it. They provide cybersecurity solutions. We did a great session with them this morning. So yeah.
Good. I don't think I could echo more what Pete said, is that we really appreciate our partners in this. We're a team that is this big. There's not that many of us, but because we have this partner base and these suppliers that supply to schools so faithfully around us, it enables us to be able to do an event like this. So Ashley, to you and your team, thank you as the overall sponsor. They've really put a lot of time, effort, as well as finances into this event, and so we're hugely thankful for that. And I think I can echo that from all the attendees as well. We're also hugely thankful for your Take-A-Lot vouchers. They go down like
a homesick
red
mole.
wine. What?
A homesick mole. Ashley, any comment from yourself before we give away your next voucher, I should say?
No, just to say thank you for putting this together. It's such a great opportunity to kind of discuss and share with schools. It's a perfect platform. We have everyone in the same room, and again, these virtual events have been an absolute godsend under these kind of COVID conditions. I mean, yes, it's a long drive to Cape Town. I'm not sure a COVID cigar tube aeroplane down to the Cape is such a great idea these days, but thanks to you guys, we can get everyone together. We have the apps and the kind of chat. So yeah, it's fantastic. Thank you guys. That's all I want to say. Thanks for the opportunity.
Awesome. Well, let's give away some of your prizes then.
Good. Okay. So probably the final Take-A-Lot voucher we will give away in this year's Schoolscape Premier event is gonna have to go to Claire Blake. Though we had many that tried to top your one-liner or your story from your classroom, I think that I like your wit, I like your charisma, and I think that is probably the reason that we love education, we love teachers so much, is that you really do rise to the challenge, and you certainly have risen to the challenge of the past year. So it's great that we have suppliers that can come around you and support you in that, but the long yards really are you in the class with our kids. And so we really appreciate you, and we appreciate you coming to school with a smile, a song, a dance, and a laugh, day after day after day after day. So we hope that, yeah, the Take-A-Lot voucher you get to enjoy and buy yourself something, not your class something. And then, yeah, I think that we have 2 more prizes that I want to give away before, let's get 1 more prize I want to give away before we give away are we giving away the passport prize?
We're not going to give away the passport. I'm going to explain it, but give away those 2 prizes.
So we have 1 more Bluetooth speaker we want to give away. So that comes from Digital Generation and Dell. They're also a great partner of ours, a great partner of Sonic Walls as well. And they work closely together. And so yeah, we super thankful for their input in this event. If you need devices or any kind of classroom technology, go check out Digital Generation. And that goes to Karen Simons from St. Catherine's. So congratulations, Karen, you have a Bluetooth speaker en route. If you've won any prizes in this time, we will get hold of you. I always get the awkward email after that says, hi, I won a prize and I don't really know what to do. We'll get hold of you, I promise, and those prizes will be on their way.
Awesome. All right. And then our final prize is you could have a visualizer in your classroom literally next week. So we're going to extend the competition because we know people have had a crazy day. We know it's a crazy period for teachers and for schools. So to enter that, if you go and find 8 exhibitors you like, you check them out, you like them, post a comment, say how's it, ask them a question, enter their deals and offers. And if you go to just 8, so there's about 20 there, and they're really cool companies, choose the 8 you want, pop into them, and maybe make one of them Sonic or just to say thanks for all the other prizes. And if you do that, you can win that $9,000 visualizer prize with the whiteboards and all of that kind of stuff. So there's that. And then we have put a last poll on, just asking for our next day for the events. Our next date. You can see it's the end of the day for the event. Please let us know what you think about the date we put there in the poll. So that will be for Schoolscape IT. And then if you have any cybersecurity needs, Ashley is on stage. Reach out to him through Hoover. He did a presentation this morning. We can send you the link for that if you missed it. But Ashley, we really appreciate your sponsorship. To all of you out there that are watching, we appreciate you making it this far. We got some comments yesterday, like had to go, they were locking the school. So we're trying to finish now so that you can get out before they lock the door. But thank you so much.
Yeah, and I think from us, once again, another good event. And we just really appreciate you coming alongside of us, each one of you, be it suppliers, schools. We're really here to connect, to see education move forward. And we know that only happens through great collaboration. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. And please reach out to these suppliers. We don't have suppliers around that we don't 100% back. So if they're here and they're on this platform, they're great suppliers you can trust. We trust them, and we trust that they'll lighten the load and make teaching easier, little bit easier for you.
And that is us done.
And that's us done.